fabulous event it's been. Everyone having a good time? You still awake? Yeah? Brilliant. Now, in case you couldn't tell from the rest of this event, the overarching theme has really been about collaboration and that we are better together. You see it all over the place. And in this panel, what we want to do is we want to dig a lot more into this a bit deeper. We want to be honest with each other. This is not the time for theory. This is the time for practical. This is the time for being real with each other. If you know me already, you know this is how I roll. I don't really do the otherwise. I like getting into the real opinions nice and quickly. So we're going to do that. And we're going to learn a bit more from these fabulous folks we have here. And so I'm just going to give a quick intro. Obviously, you know them all already, but so right next to me, we have Layshi, who gave a fantastic workshop yesterday on accessibility, so the go-to person on accessibility at this event. And Glòria, who gave a fabulous talk that really went into, honestly, the basics of this panel completely, talking about collaboration. And then, of course, Catina, who along with Tim, spoke about the role of open source in education and how they develop curriculums to help give students real practical skills. And so these are all things that collaboration is obviously key. And of course, open source is always running under everything we talk about within Penpot, really. So we will have some time for questions at the end. We'll see how we go. And so if you do have any burning questions in your mind, keep them in there, okay? So let us start off with, what does better collaboration look like to us in practice, not just in theory? And I'm going to go to you first, Glòria, because I'm basically saying, your fabulous talk yesterday, what are some of the key takeaways that you have from that? And yeah, what else? What does better collaboration look like to you?
I think probably I would like to hold on one word of the question, which is how it looks like. I think great collaboration doesn't look like it. You cannot see it, because it just happens naturally, right? I think we tend to default to be able to collaborate, we need to be in all the meetings together. Everyone needs to be everywhere. We have to have all these many rituals and stuff going on, so that it's very visible that we are collaborating, when real collaboration is smooth because you've reached this consensus on stuff, you agree already on things. You just keep rolling. You can barely see it because everyone understands the why are we doing things. And then the moment everyone understands the why and the how, you don't need to be meeting in every 3 days, right? To check in and to make sure we are all aligned.
Yeah, you don't want to be performative about it. It's
exactly
doing it for real.
It feels like all these frameworks to collaborate are about doing things. So that is but while I'm doing this, I'm not actually collaborating.
Yeah. So, maybe they're useful educational tools if you're still learning how to effectively collaborate, or if you're struggling. But yeah, get into it. I love that. So how about you, Catina? Now, obviously, you're not necessarily doing a design development collaboration, or, to be fair, not everyone here is a designer or a developer. I think there's a whole range of roles and interests and things like that. But you have to foster collaboration inside of your students as well and in your curriculums. So what does better collaboration look like to you?
I think the better collaborations is have some crucial points. So the first point would be, how do we learn from the past experience, no matter it's good or bad? So for me, I would like to use a case study to explain of it. So for me, last year we tried to did the branded competitions, and because we were lack of experience, so in this year we try to make several changes. So we establish a team that the experience can show their expertise, they're contacting the school, designing the programs, as well as how to do the social media. So I think it's all about how team work together, so push brain to do more better. So in a classroom setting, about how to establish good collaboration between teacher and student is to encourage students a lot, because undoubtedly in a classroom setting, there have fast learner and slow learner. You have to understand what they need. Like when I teaching in the classes, like the blended classes, so I will think about how can I set the different checkpoints for students to achieve and make them feel comfortable, not feeling be isolated or feeling boring for the lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, so flexibility is so much a key part of it. It's no one thing fits one person, truly. And how about you, Layshi? What does better collaboration? Because you work with like massive companies and and organizations who are big and hard to move, but you also have smaller collaboration within your team at your own organization.
I would say, and I love how you mentioned in terms of education, understanding which is the person when you are collaborating with, right? For example, when I was giving my workshop yesterday, I was start talking with people beforehand to understand what was the public, what was the needs, what was the knowledge that they have. And I think sometimes when we collaborate, we are trying checking the list, as Gloria mentioned, like, okay, if we will collaborate, we will do a meeting and then we will pass the files and all that kind of stuff. But the reality, I mean, for me in practice is understand the constraints. Like if this user particular really likes to be collaborative without the camera off because they don't want to, show your faces. Okay, great, let's do that in that way so you feel more comfortable. So understanding those constraints and understanding their needs of the person that will collaborate with you, I think it's the best way to actually make a good connection.
Yeah, and being generous about it, like not just make about what you want, but what they need too. Yeah, I love that. So and this question we have phrased, where do most workflows between design and development break down? But I would maybe also rephrase it slightly as to where do most workflows in general break down, and what small change could fix it? Like, where is this friction and how can we avoid it? Like, I'll go to you first on this, Catina.
Oh, for me, I think the breakdowns between designers and the developer mostly is related to is there have a proactive communication between them. So basically, in the debug or testing phases, some designer may just send the file to the developers and waiting for their feedback. But during this moment, some developer may just waiting for the design team to call them for have a meeting and check the progress. So I think it's because the lack of the proactive communications. So furthermore, so I think it's very important to have a person work as a cross-functional roles, like a team player, like how can inspire others and give possible feedback as a bridge between the develop team and also the design team.
Yeah, that really reminds me of what Gloria was saying in your talk about being close to the metal, about having that understanding of the platform, and often the people that do that are the people that are best able to communicate across the entirety of the team because they have that understanding of each other's roles.
And this compartment, like I chose the longest word in English.
Compartmentalization?
That one, yeah. That
I don't deserve points. I am a
thanks,
native English speaker.
What's the worst word I could pick to say now in public? So yeah, that word, what Catina was saying, no? That like developers are waiting and designers are waiting. Like, why are you waiting? Just go on each other's tools, and this idea that we have, no, this is where my work stops and the other person wants starts. Like, let's try to break down these silos as much as we can.
And a lot of that is because I guess we love using tools and talking about tools. We work in technology. We're excited about the tech, but actually so much of it is people, isn't it? And it's the people issues and the personal issues is what's making this better or worse as well. Yeah. And how about you, Layshi? Where do you think workplace break down?
I have a controversial one.
Oh, please do. Please do. Come on.
So I think it's be proactive. Like sometimes we are just waiting for someone to give you a direction or like just waiting for that email to start collaborating. I'm that kind of person of like, if I'm in an office, I will go around and see you screens like, hey, what are you doing? I want to learn from you. Yeah, sometimes that people it's annoying. That's me. But when you are on a virtual scenario and remote work, it's differently. So how you can actually put that into the virtual or remote scenario. So I'm the person that go into the Slack like, hey, what are you doing? What do you do for breakfast? To start sparking the conversation. And I think sometimes when we lose that kind of like human connection, even if it's digital, is when everything goes down. And also taking into consideration that we are not proactive of building relationships in order to be collaborative in the long run.
And I suppose that's even more important when you're remote from each other and you're not necessarily in the same room as each other, that it's even harder to start those conversations and be proactive in that way, because you're having to reach out digitally somehow.
Yep. Sometimes I just take a picture. This is me, 6 a.m. in the morning. I just don't brush my hair. I mean, it's a little bit invasive. Not everyone has that kind of personality, but at least people on the other side laugh and we can start a conversation every time. Everyone is just making fun. So
It's nice, it's adding a little bit of vulnerability. I was having a great conversation about this upstairs earlier, about if you're leading with vulnerability and showing, hey, we're not all perfect, and you make it easier to open these conversations and be able to talk to each other on a real level rather than having to negotiate egos and insecurities.
And I think you build also trust and confidence on your team. Like if you are vulnerable, people will be willing to be open to say their feelings when they have something that they really struggle and want to collaborate, but they struggle with something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something you were asking for a small fix,
Yes.
right? Of part of your question. To Layshi's point, for example, we created a Slack channel that's our team name dash water cooler. So it's like where you go to get your glass of water. It's a Slack channel, and it's where we are sharing our
Random photos.
you know, a link, something completely unrelated to work, and I think it's like part of the glue of the team,
Yeah.
having this water cooler situation. It's also a private channel, completely locked, like no transparency here.
That's one area where there isn't transparency.
Exactly, you don't want to have transparency here. Yeah, I think I love having it. I think I'd seen it in another team who were having it, and I'm like, I'm so stealing this.
Yeah, you show that you're actually a human being that you're working with and not just a work machine.
Not just an avatar over there in the chat.
Yeah.
Actually, funny thing is, whenever someone leaves the team because they move to another team or whatever, they stay in the water cooler. So
That's nice.
yeah.
I guess if it's like a physical office, you might still have the same water
Exactly.
cooler. You might go back down to the water cooler on the other floor.
Yeah, totally.
I love that that's carrying on in the digital area. So these can be quite fraught relationships that we have, and especially if we're working remotely and doing these things async. How do we ensure that everyone feels ownership in this shared process? So not just responsibility for their own individual part. We're talking about starting to open up and starting to push against each other's edges, and you were talking about that previously, but do you have any other like tips that you would give for doing that? Layshi, to you first.
Ownership. So again, I have a different style. Don't be shy to use it, but I have some warnings.
Great.
It's not for everyone. One of the things that I do with my team is that I try to put Easter eggs on the work that we are shipping to a client, but they feel that they have ownership and they feel that they can show in case on their portfolio because it feels that they have their signature there in some way. Even if we are working with design systems or things that's supposed to be consistent, that's supposed to be not change it, they try to put something, a little bit of spice there that it represents them, so they feel the ownership of I'm working this, and it feels like I mean, I know that design and art is not the same, but it's a little bit of piece of art from there. And every time that we do, we try to encourage that, and then we encourage sometimes to do it even as a team. Like we as a design team, we try to do things differently, and the way that we ship the projects, we try to put it something that people say like, I see that in some place. Yeah, because we work on it. So yeah, but that's not for everyone. Again, that's the way that we try to do it. But yeah, I would say that.
Same question to you, Gloria. And I imagine that working in an organization where everything is assigned to people as a matter of course, how does shared responsibility work in that sense?
I will go back to something I was saying earlier, which is understanding the why are we doing things, right? And why and how are we going to ensure that this thing is done, and how do you measure this thing is done correctly? Because, of course, as you said, like most of the times it's like the business needs X thing, you need to work on it. So it's not like you choose. Sometimes you can choose, but it's not like the regular way of working. So I think understanding the why are you working on this is crucial, because when you are doing like meaningless work, like, oh yeah, I just been told to paint this wall color white, it's like, and if it's milled gray, I don't really care, right? Because I don't even know why I'm doing this. But if I know this is because I need to project a movie and needs to be crystal white, then I will, do it properly because I understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So yeah, I think basically taking the time to transfer this information to the team is crucial, instead of assigning, tickets or tasks or whatever, because then it's like a bit pointless.
Yeah, it becomes very siloed and you're just a kind of cog in a machine rather
It's like check,
yeah.
check, done, no? Like closing issues.
Yeah,
Right,
it doesn't feel very creative.
Yeah.
And how about for you, Katina? Like, I guess, is this amongst your students or in creating your curriculums? How did you interpret this question when you saw it beforehand?
So for me, how to ensure everyone feels ownership is, I think, is also related to how do you generate a safe and collaborative environment for students to share ideas together. So for me, while during the teaching, I may establish some collaborative projects for students to do with. So like for Blender, some of them may good at doing the character design, some of them may good at doing the storyboard, and some of them may good to setting the cameras and something else. So all the students work together and they know what are they doing and know each other what each other doing, so that they can collaborate together, so can let them feel feel collaborative. Yeah. So it's also, I think it's less student to shifting their mindsets from my own pace to our outcomes. Yeah, it's a very important thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think a lot of this collaboration that we're having is not just happening sort of within teams of people with the same roles, but often it is happening across disciplines. And whether that is design and development, or whether that is from management or people managing projects, so the people working with them, leaders, to people that are part of a team. So in your experience, I'll go to you first, back to you, Katina, on this. What's one moment where this form of collaboration surprised you, whether it was in a good way or in a bad way?
I would say it's a good way, because I can see students how they collaborate with each other and they learn from each others, even though some of them may be shy to express their idea. But I think to have a very open and safe area, environment for students to work with, it can help them feel very secure, yeah, and be brave, be bold to share their ideas. Yeah.
So they do things that surprise you, often in that space. Yeah. Or is it just how well they get on that's surprising?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous. Well, how about you, Layshi? You're continually working with people who are in like different roles across your team and across your work.
So I have a fun story. I was having the opportunity to work in a company that I was having a friend. He was from customer service.
Right.
And we love to go together to reggaeton music concerts. And that's why we actually get along. And I remember one time we was actually in the kitchen and he said like, what that you do in design, that customer service, it's not off. We have a drill of calls. Like, I don't know what you guys do that all the customers are angry. And I was like, yes, we shipped something yesterday. And he was like, well, you are actually messing with my work. And I was like, oops. And after that, we start actually chatting in the kitchen every time. Like, what are you doing? We will have more calls tomorrow. It was like, maybe. And I was like, no, tell me. So we start talking. And I think it was super fun to understand how my design has implications in other people's jobs. And also understand from that experience, like the huge impact that can have just a change of color or just a change of pixels on the bottom, just from here to here. And it was really eye-opening to me to understand also, like, sometimes the stakeholders are not the only ones that have the expertise, you know? They start saying to you, like, you know what, this is the strategy, this is the thing that we need to do. And it's like, interesting, because customer service are telling us that the calls is about this, 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 this. Do you really think about it, that is the good strategy? And it was like, okay. And we start actually adding people from customer service into the meetings. And I think it was a really valuable lesson to understand that sometimes design not only depends on what we think it's the core team, we can actually have really good data and insights from other people that maybe we don't think about too much or too often.
Yeah, it's such a rich place to get information from customer support. Yeah, you really find out what people are really pissed off about.
Exactly.
There's actually, I've never had to do it, but there's actually many companies who have this as part of their onboarding, right? Like when you join the company, you
Oh, I
spend
heard
1 or
that.
2 weeks in customer support.
Oh, that's cool.
You get the real tea, and then, you know, like you go and then you do some rotation from time to time, every quarter, or I find it an excellent strategy, to be honest.
I heard about that, and I think it's great. Yeah, like if you just change one screen, maybe you will have more calls. Just sit down and listen to those calls.
Yeah, just answer some emails and like get.
It's one of the things I find really fun about working with Penpot is I love hanging out in the Penpot community because when I want to think about what am I going to make a video about next, or what should our next hands-on demo be for, and I go and see, okay, what's everyone asking about? Like, what's the thing, the question that we're getting lots of questions about that maybe people are confused about or want to learn how to use better? Perfect. Easy inspiration for me, and I don't have to do any work.
That's why I was so nervous yesterday on the workshop. I asked everyone, how is your level of accessibility? And everyone was raising hands, and I was like, oh. So yeah, definitely.
There is never anything wrong with going back to the basics, though. I think it's important to have a reminder of it, for sure. Absolutely. And Gloria, do you have any kind of experience that you've had in mind that whether for good or bad?
Can it be not from work?
Yeah, please do, yeah.
So the most obvious one to me, have you ever bought a small piece of fabric from IKEA?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the tag it has? Which is bigger than the product itself. It's like the legal team not talking to the product team.
Yeah.
I always look at it like, why didn't they talk to each other? You know, they could have done it way differently. You know, like small toys like this, plush toys, and they have like this massive label. It's like, just put it in a bag with a paper, you know? Like, why did you do this?
Yeah.
So these kind of things I'm always obsessed over these things. Not for work, but yeah, talk to each other.
This is how you know you have a designer mindset, is that you pick apart the details in everything that you see.
Yeah, like these casseroles, like these cast iron casseroles. I don't know, what's the brand?
Le
French?
Creuset.
Le Creuset.
Yeah.
They have a 30-day trial. Did you know? It's like an enterprise. I love it. So I had to go through it just to see how it was in the physical world.
So you went through it? Did you do it?
Of course.
And did they take it back?
You need to experience the things and have the designer mindset always on.
And did you send it back?
Yes.
Because it was incredibly expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but
Transparency, you see?
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's go on to a topic that I think is like something that a lot of us care about. Like one of the reasons a lot of us got into Penpot was because of it being open source. And I think open source, even though we haven't necessarily discussed it a huge amount, it's kind of been a theme, a second theme that's run through a lot of the talks. And even yesterday, when we had the Q&A after today, Q&A after your session, all the days are turning into one for me. Catina, because I loved in yours and Tim's talk where you were talking about the actual importance of open source in access for education for you. And so what roles does open source tooling, like all the principles themselves of open source, play in improving transparency and working together for you?
So in Hong Kong, so basically most of the schools are choosing to use the proprietary tools as their default, as their main teacher tools because I mentioned before, because every school can have the funding that get from the government. So most of them will use to upgrade their classroom or equipment, but they just overlook the importance of importing a good content in school. So basically, because why we so eagerly to promote open source tool teaching in Hong Kong, because we find the opportunity gap that if school would like to adopt those open source tools, it can help them to do better, because we know that open source tool is a good community that allows everyone to share, collaborate together. So it has a very transparent environment, so everyone just can just to learn from each others, as well as it's a very good things for student to learn with. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think once you start realizing the power of being able to use things that are free and open, you know to look for that in other tools and know that those other tools will like often be a more affordable option or be
Yeah.
something that you have access to as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Layshi, how about you? Because I guess in your work it's not necessary. Do you do much work with open source tooling? Do you make use of these tools?
Yes, and I think it's really valuable that in terms of the accessibility industry, we have those kind of tools that help people to accommodate and personalize their experience for their needs. For example, screen readers that are open source. That it's super super important, so they can adjust it and they can use it for the specific purpose that they need. Sometimes for you can be just like reading the screen in a center amount of like velocity, but for other people could be another different thing. And having this opportunity and having tools that really are available as open source, I think it changed the game for the people's life and independence mostly.
Yeah, yeah, and it's important for people that actually need those tools, but also then for those of us who want to test with those tools, we have no excuse. They're available to us. We can try them. They're there. And how about you? I guess open source, like there's a huge amount of open source in GitHub. So I guess, is there any particular area that really is important to you?
I think an area that often I keep repeating a lot, but whenever we talk with more junior designers or people who are starting to design or looking for their first roles, something I hear often is, I don't have a portfolio. Like I don't have previous experience, so I have nothing to show. And you see a ton of folks, no shade, doing redesigns for millionaires for free over social. Like, I redesign blah blah's logo or things like that. I always say, don't do this. Don't work for free for these big corporations. Just go and look for an open source project that you can collaborate, do the design there, and then you will have a portfolio and you will have real work, because while collaborating in open source projects, you need to deal with so many different people, different profiles, different backgrounds. You learn so much. It's real work experience.
Yeah, real life constraints as
Exactly,
well.
real life constraints. You are designing around a need. There's a community. There's users. There's so much you can learn by having 2 open source projects in your belt that actually build your first portfolio. So to me, that's a space that for design is still a bit not explored too much. Like, there's the open source design organization, and I'm always like, go there, talk to these people, start working on these projects.
Yeah, it's a lot more obvious and easy for a lot of developers to get involved, but
Yeah.
for designers it is not as obvious to them to start off with.
Yeah, I think it's a great first step in the industry, to be honest. So
Yeah, and we were having a discussion earlier about how this sort of idea that it's not as glamorous or as shiny or as exciting as a lot of other projects, but really your skill as a designer is making things that work for people and that are usable. It's not necessarily about all the shiny.
Yeah, and there's some, I think, where is Ariel? She's there. I was chatting with her the other day, and she was telling me, yeah, maybe sometimes if something looks too good, it doesn't breathe like open source, no? And I'm like, why don't we change this thing? Let's make open source look great. Like,
And that's something we get with accessibility a lot of the time as well. People say that if it's accessible, it can't possibly look good. And you just say, well, that is how limited your imagination is as a designer.
I hear that so many times. Like, accessibility is just ugly. What? What are you talking about? Yep.
Okay, so this can be a fun one to lead on from what we were discussing. Let's imagine it is Penpot Fest 2026. And what is one thing you hope every product team or every team is doing differently? I'll go to you first, Katina, on that one.
I think is from your perspective, is just seek yourself as a lifelong learner beyond your role. It's very important that you mentioned in the keynote yesterday that was the designer and developer facing the challenge. Like the designer doesn't understand the technical constraints of the developers, and also in the meantime, the developer doesn't understand the design principle of the designer, so they will cause a lot of misunderstanding. So if everyone would like to take a step further, like they would like to learn the new things, it will help the team to go together and work better. Yeah.
Yes, it's almost about the things that go beyond what your curriculums are teaching and encouraging people to have that mindset.
Yeah, even though I'm a good curriculum designer, but I'm lack of the experience in developer. Just I'm not familiar with the programming skills, so I would like to find time for me to learn about the programming, and it can help me to become a more a better cross-functional roles that can communicate with the development team while we are having different projects that can keep the project and keep us smooth conversations. Yeah.
And they often say, don't they, if you want to really learn about something well, you have to teach it.
Yeah, because as a designer, you have to play around with different software, know about their features, and know how to integrate those good things into your curriculum to teach your students.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how about for you, Layshi? Penpot 2026, what do you wish everyone's doing?
I have a comment, and then I will answer your question.
Okay, I'll just a warning for anyone in the Q&A later. If you do the same thing, I'm cutting you off, but you're allowed to.
I think in this Penpot, I have a huge surprise when I see that everyone knows a little bit of accessibility. And for me, that was like one of my hopes, that when I will be doing something, at least I don't need to define what is accessibility.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, whoa. But in 2026, and I think this is contradictory in terms of my side, I wish that I cannot need to talk about accessibility, to be honest. I hate that my job is auditing different websites, pros and services, because they don't apply accessibility. My job, it doesn't need to exist. And I know I'm cutting my legs in terms of the money, but it's the reality. Like, I wish that this has not to be a topic.
Yeah. It's no longer a bolt-on. It's integrated into our roles naturally.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Glòria, 2026, what should we be doing?
I don't know. Are we all retired already? And I don't know.
We wish.
I guess my a bit anarchic heart wishes maybe with. I was chatting with Andy earlier about how organizations have like all these complex org charts, right, with teams and squad. At least big companies, we have all these organizations, and then people keep saying, "Oh, we are shipping our org chart." No, have you heard like this thing? And there's a lot of effort in trying to do like end-to-end work to stop shipping the org chart. And I was telling Andy, I think like we cannot not ship the org chart. Like that's how we work. So just burn the org chart, right? Like, like if you start breaking the teams down and mixing people and like creating a fruit salad of different profiles and we stop being so protective, I think, of our roles, of our reporting structures, of, no, I report to this person, I cannot work to this project. No. Like, let's try to be less protective of our spaces in favor of, let's ship our org chart. It's fine. It's our org chart is, completely transversal. So I would want a bit more of that, a bit more anarchy and team structures, and like breaking a bit more, shaking a bit the nest.
Yeah, that totally follows on from what you were saying earlier about the collaboration being so much easier when you are being more flexible, when you're like attuned to each other's needs, when you're reaching out and stepping over into other people's roles too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm going to just slightly switch up the order because I want to try and get at least one question in, and then we'll do a little lightning round as a finisher. So, who has the power? We're going to have 1 or 2 questions, so I want really good ones. Now I've really put the pressure on as well. Has anybody got a question for our panel? I have a hand over here. There's a microphone appearing behind you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So thank you all for opportunity for answering questions. Wonderful talk so far. One of the things that I was wondering, we're heading into a world, perhaps, right, foretelling like just ICs will become more generalists, right? Designers can accomplish more with engineering tools. MCP, got built into Penpot, right? Thinking, how do we facilitate collaboration in a world where individuals can get the work done end to end? There's like less need to pass it off to someone else, I guess, when you can both design and engineer. I'm just curious, what you might think about that future and how we can facilitate collaboration.
Yeah, I suppose in a world where if you're all generous, can't we all just do everything and get it all done by ourselves? Okay, I'll phrase that to you first, Katina. Like, how do you encourage students to learn a variety of those skills, and where should they stop, and how do they collaborate on that?
So from my side, I think it's important for teachers to know the student limitations. Like you have to set a very structural course structure that have in each lesson you make sure you have a outcome for student to achieve it. So that allows student to know what they're doing and how to use this to collaboratively. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess in some ways we're looking again at it's this idea of the shared responsibility if people are able to do things. But how, I guess, in a world with no org charts, would we then work out who has responsibility to get stuff finished? Glòria.
So I think when I say that is referring to your the keynote you delivered yesterday, and with the T shape kind of thing. I think we still need this, right? A specialization and people who can have like very, very high craft on specific things. And when I say like building end to end and being like, I can, participate in the whole flow, it doesn't mean doing like the extra mile in each of the steps, right? It's like you can have a first pass or a first draft or a first direction that helps setting vision to the team, but then you still need specialists. Like you would never have someone who can craft like an excellent, I don't know, icon and can code all the way, I don't know, like the back end of it. Like that would be, I mean, if you know someone, please send the link. But but it's very difficult. So you still need to collaborate, right, in these phases. So this is why I really like the figure of the DRI. So the person who drives the project, that I think in most companies normally is the PM. But I think this, again, like time to torch these concepts and have designers driving initiatives end to end, being the DRI of an initiative, but then still having a specialist in each. And then I think it's DRI's responsibility to ensure people are collaborating and are talking to each other.
Yeah. And Layshi, you and I were talking actually about this very topic yesterday. So because you have skills in many different areas as well. How do you end up not ending up doing all the work in your team?
Well, first of all, I think it's understanding what are the things that you really want to do and what the things you know that you're doing really well. Because, I mean, I love doing art, but I'm super bad drawing. Super bad drawing. And I know that somebody else can do it really better than me, and having the trust that I have maybe the idea and I can just give my idea and collaborate with this person because I know that can actually elaborate something better that I can not do it because I don't have the skills necessary. So I think having the trust and also like be mindful that it's cool to share your ideas and delegate, not delegate, just pass the baton and trying to work around with the things that you have and the other skills the other person has. So it's more to actually be so, I don't know, putting in the other people's shoes and giving you the opportunity to change the way on this perspective of the things that you are doing.
Yeah, and we have so much to learn from each other, especially when we choose not to be control freaks.
Yes, yes. Like, for example, I have one person in my team that she's amazing with visual design. And I remember that in one moment, a lot of clients start asking, like, can you help on the UI? I was like, you know what? I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. And I was like, you know what? You are the right person to do this. Like, I don't need to do this. You are the person that have the knowledge, the skills, and this is what we need.
So thank you for the fabulous question. We don't have time for any more questions, but of course we will be hanging around later on. We'll have time during lunch and networking, and feel free to come up and chat. We're all friendly. None of us bite. And so to sum up, I think, shall we just, we'll have one sentence from each of us. What does better together mean to you right now? I'll go down from one end to the other. Katina, what does better together mean to you?
For me, is to embrace diversity and build interest. Yeah.
Love it.
It's because we come from different countries, speaking different languages, but we also come over to this lovely and wonderful patios to share, to connect, to interact together. So we also tracing, we are just towards the same goals. How do we work better to make a strong Penpot community? So I think diversity is a very beautiful word to depict the name of federations.
Absolutely. Glòria.
I think very similarly to Katina, like having different not only skill sets but diversity in all aspects. Yeah, in all the things is what makes us a better whole, I think. So diverse teams, please, more of that.
Layshi.
Expansion of opportunities. When we work together, we can have more reach to do better things.
Absolutely. And I would agree with that. I would say that better together means that we are all better than the sum of our parts, and we can have good individual relationships, we can have much better teamwork, but we can also start movements when we start working together. We can start to really, truly make a difference. So thank you, each of you, for taking part in this panel. This has been so much fun. Thank you, everyone, for such a fantastic Penpot Fest. Thank you to the Penpot team. We wouldn't be here without you. And thank you to our host, Meda, who has done so much work getting this all off the ground, and the folks behind the scenes who aren't up on stage but are really making this all work. Thank you. Big round of applause for that lot.